As soon as the man boarded the plane, he discovered that his seat had been taken over by a kid. He was about to get angry, but the flight attendant promptly escorted him to the first-class cabin. Meanwhile, Anne, who happened to be the CEO, was being harassed by an older man. Irritated by the situation, she directly pulled Carl to sit beside her. Seeing this, the older man had no choice but to give up throughout the journey and was fully dedicated to her work, while Carl, like a child, amused himself by playing with the reclining seat. At this moment, neither of them could have possibly imagined that the story of a female CEO falling in love with an ordinary guy would unfold right before their own eyes. Just then, the plane suddenly encountered a powerful air current, and the aircraft began to experience intense turbulence. And, feeling anxious, instinctively grabbed Carl's hand. Rather than letting go, Carl discreetly tightened his grip. The chilly touch of her small hand directly stirred something deep within Carl, and, feeling shy, quickly withdrew her hand, but the lingering warmth in his palm had already made an indelible impression on him. As it was about to depart, Carl hastily asked for her name.
Balthazar. Je m'appelle Balthazar.
Alice.
Watching the woman's silhouette fade away, Carl felt a bit down. It was evident that she was a career-oriented strong woman, unlikely to be interested in an ordinary guy like himself. If it weren't for the issue in the economy class, he wouldn't even have had a chance to meet Anne. However, the USB drive that dropped to the ground brought a glimmer of hope to Carl. He quickly unbuckled his seatbelt and rushed outside to chase after her, but it had already left in a car. He desperately shouted from behind, only to receive mocking remarks from a middle-aged man. He scoffed at Carl, calling him a frog dreaming of eating swan meat. The next day, Anne confidently walked into the company. On the surface, everyone showed respect for her, but behind her back, they would gossip and call her a clueless old woman, and didn't let these comments bother her. She was focused on doing her best and aiming to be promoted to the position of magazine editor. However, her boss informed her that the editor position had been given to Jonah instead. Confused and full of questions, and asked her boss for the reason behind this decision. The boss explained that although Jonah may not possess the same level of work competence as Anne, he had a lively and friendly personality, getting along well with all colleagues. Moreover, his active thinking contributed to the company's development and innovation. In contrast, Anne seemed to lack energy and enthusiasm, appearing gloomy all the time. Anne raged, and got up and left, intending to use work to ease her emotions. However, she discovered that the USB drive was nowhere to be found. Feeling frustrated, she suddenly noticed a note stuck to her computer screen. It read that a man had come looking for her and had something to give her, but she was busy at that time, and quickly dialed the phone number written on the note. But at that moment, Carl was actually at the bar, having fun with his classmates. Excitedly, he mentioned the address of the bar, not expecting Anne to actually show up. It was her first time in such a noisy place, as she only wanted to retrieve the USB drive and get back to work. However, Carl had to go home with him to get it, and followed him out of the bar, only to find his mode of transportation was a worn-out pink electric bicycle. This sight surprised and intrigued Anne. Seeing that he wasn't wearing a helmet, Carl quickly stepped forward to help. Unbeknownst to them, this scene was secretly captured by Anne's colleague. From their perspective, it appeared as if they were kissing. This is absolutely headline-worthy news, but Anne was completely unaware of it. She obediently followed Carl back home, even though they had only met for the second time. There was an inexplicable trust she had in this guy. As soon as she grabbed the USB drive, she was ready to leave. Carl quickly chased after her.
Je me disais peut-être qu'on pourrait prendre un café un soir. Et puis pas forcément café, hein. Je suis très Sprite, tout ce qui est soda, boisson gazeuse.
Écoutez, je sais que c'est très à la mode en ce moment et c'est vraiment gentil, mais je suis débordée, puis c'est pas du tout mon genre. Au revoir.
As Carl watched his beloved woman quickly depart, he heard the sound of his heart breaking. However, little did she know that Anne would soon actively pursue her, with her usual confidence, and walked into the company, but her colleagues were whispering and giving her strange looks. This left Anne feeling confused. Her close friend handed her a photo, and its contents shocked her. She had intended to explain everything to everyone, but to her surprise, the boss appeared extremely pleased.
Alice, pourquoi tu te prends la tête? C'est ça que je veux voir chez toi, moi. Là, avec le petit, tu me fais rêver. Bah, t'as l'esprit rebelle. Et c'est bien, c'est ce que j'aime.
And stood still, pondering for a long time. Ever since her divorce from a terrible man, her heart had been focused solely on her daughter and work. She had never considered her own love life. She sought advice from her close friend, who urged her to pursue a new relationship immediately. Not only would it provide her with a companion and a complete family for her daughter, but it would also enhance her career prospects, leading to a rapid promotion. Anne, who never drank alcohol, poured herself a glass of red wine that evening. She listened to moving music and silently made a crazy decision, and transformed her image as a strong woman and dressed provocatively. She took the initiative to visit Carl's school, attracting the attention of numerous male students along the way. Carl had never imagined that Anne would come to the school to find him. He was deeply moved by her beauty and allure. The two of them toured the school together, and before leaving, Anne extended an invitation to an evening party. Carl happily accepted, behaving like a child as he played with technology products, and couldn't help but join in the fun with him. All of this was observed by their colleagues, who were surprised by Anne's transformation. They went to the rooftop together, enjoying the breeze. Unexpectedly, Carl shared many new design ideas, and Anne couldn't help but smile appreciatively. There was a hint of admiration in her eyes. Before leaving, Carl thoughtfully held an umbrella for Anne, filled with beautiful expectations for the future. However, a sudden phone call interrupted their moment. Anne's sister said that she had a blind date and needed Anne to meet the prospective partner immediately. The man was a famous gynecologist with a promising future. Anne lied, saying her daughter was sick and she had to return home immediately. Carl quickly hailed a taxi for her. Seeing how concerned Carl was about her situation, Anne felt extremely guilty. She met the excellent doctor as her sister had suggested. He was humorous and wealthy, indeed an ideal marriage prospect. However, for some reason, thoughts of Carl lingered in Anne's mind. Her absent-minded state inevitably led to the failure of the blind date. But Anne didn't care. Her relationship with Carl was becoming stronger, and she even took his electric bike to attend a fashion show. The show was attended by numerous industry giants, and Anne repeatedly reminded Carl not to misbehave. However, when a model unexpectedly fell, no one stepped forward to help except for the kind-hearted Carl, who hurried onto the stage to assist. He stood there, dazed under the lights, unsure of what to do. Nevertheless, he left a deep impression on the influential figures. The powerful woman unleashed herself on the dance floor, aiming to showcase her vibrant side to the boss. As their closeness grew, Carl's strong pheromones filled the air, and the ambiguous feelings between them intensified. Carl accompanied Anne to her doorstep and tentatively reached out to hold her hand, but Anne nervously avoided it. She still had various uncertainties, the biggest being their 20-year age difference. Carl forced a smile, bid her goodnight, but immediately regretted it as he watched Anne walk away. Perhaps it was the alcohol that gave him courage. He quickly rang the doorbell and, upon learning that her daughter wasn't home, he kissed her forcefully, and didn't push him away, as deep down, she had also been anticipating this moment. That's how their relationship was finally confirmed. Early the next morning, Anne urged Carl to hurry back home because her sister was about to arrive. Carl scrambled to put on his clothes but couldn't find his other shoe. As they were about to leave, Anne suddenly chased after him and gave him a passionate kiss. Carl was instantly mesmerized. Early the next morning, Anne spotted a sign on the tree trunk by her doorstep. Following the arrows, she walked step by step until she successfully retrieved a portable music player hidden under a chair. Putting on the headphones, she was greeted by Carl's pleasant voice inviting her on a date. With a joyful heart, Anne happily hopped onto his electric bike, and together they navigated through bustling streets and quaint alleys, their faces radiant with beaming smiles. Once again, Anne felt the beauty of life, and this experience fueled Carl's inspiration and creativity in his work. Her colleagues cheered for her, knowing that a promotion was only a matter of time. However, faced with Carl's sincere confession, Anne's heart became filled with conflicting emotions. After a few days of excitement, she regained her composure and realized that the biggest issue they had to confront was their age difference.
Quand j'aurai 40 ans, t'auras 21 ans. Quand j'aurai 50 ans, t'auras 31 ans.
Qu'est-ce que vous essayez de me dire là?
Je crois pas que ce soit une bonne idée de continuer à se voir.
Carl was left speechless when questioned, unable to stop Anne from walking away. He felt as if all the supports in his heart had collapsed, leading to days of desolation. Whether asleep or awake, his mind was consumed by thoughts of Anne. He had thought that their paths would never cross again in this lifetime. However, a few months later, Anne's company needed to shoot a magazine cover and couldn't find the desired feeling with countless models. Suddenly, the boss remembered the guy from the fashion show and insisted that it had to be Carl, and was forced to reach out to him for help once again. Unexpectedly, on the day of the shoot, he actually showed up at the scene, hoping to reignite their love. But through his friend, he accidentally discovered the conspiracy. He realized that he was merely a pawn in her path to promotion. Carl felt as if his heart had been torn apart. Watching Anne approach with a smile, she kissed him in front of everyone. Despite his profound grief, he still wanted to help and complete her work. However, the photographer's insults unleashed all his pent-up grievances, and anger surged through his veins, urging him to leave. Anne hurriedly caught up, begging him not to go. Seeing that even now she was still focused on her work, Carl could no longer hold back his emotions.
Bluffant. Putain. Moi, j'ai rien vu, je suis pas jury au César, mais ça, je pense que ça méritait une petite statuette, ouais. Alice Nantas, mesdames et messieurs, on l'accueille bien fort, on l'applaudit pour l'ensemble.
Upon realizing that his words had been overheard by his boss, Carl panicked. Even at this moment, he was still considering Anne's well-being. However, he ended up losing his job because of it. After losing everything, he finally had the opportunity to listen quietly to his innermost desires. Watching his shoes fall behind in the mirror and hearing the invitation to a date that Carl had left in the coat room, he knew he had already fallen deeply in love with him. So, he went back to Carl's school once again, hoping to personally salvage the love he had lost. However, he was mistaken for a new substitute teacher, prompting him to quickly start the class while feeling unsure of what to do. Just then, Anne noticed Carl sitting quietly in the audience, and in that moment, he made the craziest move of his life.
J'étais nulle, Balthazar. Pense à toi, mais tout le temps, en fait. Ces nuits-là, je faisais pas semblant.
Et juste un truc. Une fois qu'on sera vu, revu, revu, qu'est-ce qui va se passer, hein?
And didn't answer. Instead, she kissed him passionately without caring about anything else. At that moment, he decided to no longer be tangled up in age or societal judgments and bravely embraced his lover's embrace. Sometimes, love happens in an inconvenient manner, meeting the right person at the wrong time. But as long as the love in one's heart remains unchanged, one must boldly pursue their innermost desires. Happiness is something we must strive for ourselves, and love requires courage to wait for. If you liked it, please follow and thanks for your support.